Midday in the Queen City, business is booming, making plans and planning changes downtown, and the business of providing comfort and joy and connection. Let's do lunch. Cincinnati is a city that means business. Fortune 500 company HQs, renowned institutions like Children's Hospital and the Cincinnati Zoo, and letters that everyone here knows: TQL, GE, CVG, UC, and X. It's also a city that's large enough for new ideas to take root and grow. You know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and you're in business. I'm Jack Crumley, and this is The Working Lunch. Hello, welcome to The Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. This is our hour-long business show here on The Crown, where we bring you headlines and updates about the activities of local companies. We also bring you exclusive interviews with CEOs and local leaders, and we do our best to squeeze in a bite to eat, maybe something to drink before you go back and face the afternoon. Some of that work in the works before the end of the week. I know you're anxiously waiting to see how that pans out before the week is done. Thanks for watching. Cincinnati business headlines, presented by First State Bank. Built on belief and committed to doing right by our communities, First State Bank offers checking, savings, and mortgage services all from your phone. They believe in this community and they believe in you. Visit FSB4me.com. That's First State Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender. Making some moves to get people to come here. The Tourism Board, Visit Cincy, is working with 3CDC to move from the Huntington Bank building into a street-level office in the Paycor headquarters building on 5th Street, right by Fountain Square. I believe that Huntington Bank building is somewhere around here. It'll have a visitor experience center to help tourists with finding what they're looking for from one of downtown's biggest landmarks, Fountain Square, and being street level, it'll be more visible to visitors. Potential retail options are also available in this space. We should know more the closer we get to the big opening. Other 3CDC announcements going on today, and this one feels a little more like a mixed bag. The old Crossroad Health Center, there it is, that's on Liberty in Over the Rhine. It was closed earlier this year as part of a plan to move it into more than a $14 million transformation of the former OTR Rec Center. The Business Courier now reporting that 3CDC is going to turn that old blue building into a parking lot, which I know there's a Joni Mitchell chorus in there somewhere. This is all part of a series of moves to rearrange parts of North OTR, redeveloping that stretch of Vine Street north of Liberty and some surrounding blocks as well. That's already where the new Findlay Community Hub is going that we told you about. And this generally has been an impoverished area for a few decades now. There have been some concerns voiced about people in that area being further displaced. That's something we'll have to monitor. There are still some services nearby, but maybe not in the same spot as they were. As far as turning the Crossroad facility into a parking lot, look, parking in that area is a constant need, and that is a major intersection that's right in the heart of the neighborhood. The Business Courier points out that parking lots are conditional in OTR. The city was a bit skeptical about the change, but that plan is going forward. 3CDC staff also point out, that's mentioned in this Business Courier article, that a surface parking lot can be easily turned into a building site later. We'll have to see. Meantime, the city of Cincinnati today was planning on making an announcement about a brand new downtown plan. Back in the 1980s, Cincinnati developed the 2000 plan, described as a design for a pleasing city, setting out specific goals for office buildings, housing, retail, parking, entertainment, hotels, and more, all in the run-up to the year 2000 in downtown. That's the last time that the city had an official plan for downtown. And obviously, things have changed a lot since then with the stadiums and the banks project, all that activity along the riverfront, all the changes in Over the Rhine as well these last 20 years. A lot of moving parts here, but we've already been seeing a number of announcements about new apartments being planned for downtown Cincinnati. And construction, as you know, is underway on the new Convention Center Hotel. Plus, there is the ongoing state and federal work to build the Brent Spence Companion Bridge. So, Having city leaders work out a new, specific, concrete plan to evolve downtown over the coming years makes sense. Because of the recent bad weather, though, and power outages, today's scheduled announcement by city leaders has been postponed. We will be watching that for sure. Transformational times ongoing here in the city of Cincinnati. And we do have some local shout-outs to give today. Inc. magazine, that is Inc. meaning incorporated, not ink like a tattoo. Inc. magazine has put out its Inc. 5000 list, noting the fastest growing businesses across the country, and a number of Cincinnati area companies made that list. About 3 dozen to be exact. So we're just going to hit some of the highlights here. First off, there are 5 logistics companies on that list that are all local. Veritas was highest ranked, and then also Premier Global Transportation in Milford. There was First Student, which is the Cincinnati school bus company. They've seen growth by nearly 50% over the last 3 years. There is Divisions Maintenance Group, DMG, which we found out just last week is moving to the Huntington Center and is building a skywalk to connect with its current location at the Foundry. Also, Lighthouse Transportation out of Covington, all named on this top 5,000 business growth list and all local. The local company that was highest ranked on the list is Remote Vans, which was a company born out of COVID. They sell luxury vans for adventure-related travel. Think smaller RVs. It's seen growth of more than 1,000% in 3 years, with a revenue range of $10 to $25 million. Also, got to give big props to our colleagues at our sister company, Synergistic. They ranked within the top 1,000 for their creative marketing and development work, more than tripling in growth over the last 3 years. Big congrats, everybody. You should be proud of yourselves. Jack's Big Bite is where we focus on one particular story or topic in our community, a community we believe in with our partners at First State Bank. Stop into one of their local branches or visit online at fsb4me.com to access all the helpful tools and services at First State Bank, built on belief and committed to doing right by our communities. For today's Big Bite, presented by First State Bank, we're talking about quality of life and the work to maintain it, even in the face of things like Alzheimer's and dementia. That's the work that's being done by the Giving Voice Foundation. So that is footage from their 10th annual Mimosas for Memories fundraiser. Giving Voice Foundation is a nonprofit dedicated to supporting people living with Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia, along with their families and their care partners through free direct programming, community engagement, and more. These folks are not actively trying to find a cure, although that's something they certainly support. Their work is to make sure people living with the disease have an enjoyable life, and to make sure that those taking care of them, oftentimes adult children, also have support and engagement that they need. Giving Voice Foundation serves over 200 people affected by dementia every week, and that is a 39% growth from just last year. More than 700 families have received customized care plans, and it's a wide variety of care that they provide. The Purposeful Planning Program that connects people with licensed clinical experts and makes sure that people know what resources are available to them during a very challenging time. Creative Connections for reliable weekly engagement. And they do have a monthly program called Brains in Bloom. That is for guided floral arranging, helping with motor skills and creativity. And I think that sounds like just about the nicest thing I've ever heard. Here's a look at their latest report showing what kind of money goes into running an organization like this. It's only 10 years old, but it has been seeing some solid growth. You can see there over $450,000 in revenue, the majority of that coming from special events like that Mimosas fundraiser that you just saw. You can see what a small part of their funding comes from actual grants, and then on the outgoing side, more than $380,000 in expenses, the vast majority of that for the programs that help people they serve, programs that lead to heartwarming moments like this that happened just this week in the face of some really nasty weather. The Giving Voice Foundation's vision is for a dementia community where no one feels alone. This is about connection and joy, not just clinical care. A couple other stats that I want to make sure that you know about. Last year, volunteer engagement with the Giving Voice Foundation grew 40%. That means people aren't just buying into the organization's mission, they are working with it, working for it to make it a reality. More than $1 million raised in the decade that Giving Voice Foundation has been around, as 151,000 Cincinnatians are affected by Alzheimer's and dementia. And those thousands of volunteer hours last year saved the organization $98 grand last year, helping to expand other program elements. I think this is one of the most feel-good organizations that I've ever heard of. A 501c3 nonprofit to make sure people don't feel alone in what could be one of the most lonely times a person can go through, even if you're with family. The executive director of Giving Voice Foundation, Krista Powers, is my guest to talk about all that and more coming up next. You're watching The Working Lunch on The Crown. Stick around.
This Cincinnati has felt like home since day one.
James Rapine, Jacob Tissett,
Paul Fritz, Jack Crumley.
The wait is over.
The Working Lunch.
Built for this city.
What is The Crown? It's simple, really. Authentic Cincinnati entertainment. Not hot takes from a studio 3 states away. Not national noise pretending to know this city. Rather, bringing a voice to those who call the Queen City home. Where can I watch The Crown shows? Join us live from 7 to 11 a.m. for First Word and 12 to 1 for The Working Lunch on RESN. No live TV? No problem. Stream and interact with all of our content on major podcast, broadcast, and streaming platforms. The Crown is Cincinnati. Loud, passionate, competitive, proud. From early morning sports debates to the business leaders shaping the riverfront, to the fans, stories, moments, and culture that make this place move. Live shows, podcasts, documentaries, digital content built from Cincinnati, for Cincinnati. This is The Crown.
Our beliefs matter. They're reflected in our words and actions. At First State Bank, we believe in treating people well, and have since 1884. Listening, caring, looking out for each other. It's what people deserve. It's what a real local bank does. While lots of things have changed over the years, our belief in you hasn't. First State Bank, built on belief.
Welcome back to the Working Lunch. Glad to have you here as we move through on a Thursday. I am joined by Krista Powers, who is the executive director of that organization that we just talked about, the Giving Voice Foundation. Krista, your group is there to help people. We talked about providing connection and comfort during what I think could be maybe one of the most trying times of their lives. The organization's been around for about 10 years, but how did you come to be involved with it?
You know, 10, 11 years ago, I was working at the Alzheimer's Association, so within the same industry, absolutely. And a young medical student came to the association and said, I want to host a fundraiser. And so he did that. Is Mimosas for Memories. I think you highlight some scenes from that, and we're 11 years in. About 5 years ago, though, we decided we need to become our own nonprofit and really serve with direct local programs and support. But really, my involvement has been through the whole history of the organization and watching Dr. Christian Gosvick have the vision and founding this and inviting me first, into the board and then the role that I have now. So it's been a journey of watching this grow and become what is necessary to support the community. Yeah,
do you know, has he said, what his specific motivation for the work that you guys are doing was?
Christian, he has some familial connections. He also has worked in the healthcare industry, and so he saw firsthand how people were impacted. Many of his early high school jobs were working in long-term care facilities. So he saw it up close and personal and realized this is something that I need to be committed to. It's a vocational calling for him, and so it's always been something that he's had his eye on.
Yeah, and I think it's really important work what you're doing. I think some of those videos that we saw, it's extremely heartwarming. It's got to be such an interesting emotional blend of helping people out and being there to provide support and programming when they maybe are going through such an emotionally taxing time. Whether you're talking about the patient, whether you're talking about a caregiver who's often a relative, and then also having these moments of amazing joy and connection that you guys are providing. How do you navigate big emotional swings like that?
Well, you're naming it quite right. It is an emotional swing, and what I appreciate about Giving Voice is that we do put focus into the person living with the disease, making sure they're not lost in the chaos of it all, and really understanding that they're still a person with a desire to have purpose, right? And that's much of what we do through our social engagement is invite them into participate and be engaged. In our Creative Connections, we have a lot of people who were musicians throughout their lifetime, and they bring that music forward. So they're actually contributing, right? It's not just for them, it's with them that these programs happen. And then also the other piece, the caregivers. So we're finding, we think about the sandwich generation, people caring for their parents who might have a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or other dementia, that we're also seeing people who are younger. So it's their spouse or perhaps a neighbor or a community member. And we really come around them because it is a burden to be a caregiver. Many people are still working and caregiving, and so juggling both of those responsibilities are pretty hefty, and that's where we can help people prioritize what comes first in the journey of the disease and what they need to get set up financially and legally and support-wise, and then really take the journey along with them the whole way.
Yeah, I really, really like that you guys also do what you do for the caregivers specifically, again, who are often relations. I didn't even think about spouse. Yeah. But because the idea that those people may well be in maybe not prime working years, but still in the midst of their actual career and needing to work and needing to have money to pay bills. Do you guys have information about the way that this affects caring for people who have this disease, the way this affects employment in the workforce?
Absolutely. And we're taking a closer look at that because while we have a lot of connections and partnerships within the health care systems, we're looking at how can we reach into businesses. What we know is that 60% of caregivers are still actively in the workforce.
That's the most of them.
Yeah, it is. It is. And then when you look at those individuals, nearly 60% are saying, hey, I'm coming into work late, I'm leaving early, I have to take time off because of this caregiving responsibility. And so that impacts the business, right? The bottom line, productivity, the person's stress and fatigue and
Right.
just their bandwidth. And so this really is a community issue. I sense that what we get to do is kind of lift the veil, the stigma of the disease, and understand that this is not just about health. This is a community issue that impacts businesses, neighborhoods, individuals.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of having some constant worry that even if you're able to put it in the back of your head, that is something that is taking up your ability to focus.
Yes.
It affects your creativity. Stress has a tremendous effect on creativity. And so being able to do your job well when you're worried about this other thing is really challenging.
Absolutely. Yes. So, and you know, that's where it's exciting for us to be able to be in conversations with businesses, different HR communities, employee resource groups, associate resource groups, and look at how can we come forward with the education support. One of the things that I'm most proud of with Giving Voice is that our programs and services are no cost. And again, how we lead is by saying, here's what we can give, here's how we can support. And along the way, yes, we invite people to support us by all means, but we always want to show up in generosity first. And I appreciate that about the organization.
Yeah, I think it's really wonderful, and sort of going through some of those upper level financials in the last segment to talk about, you know, the vast majority of the money you guys take in goes into programming and how so much of it comes from these big fundraisers you have, like the Mimosas and Memories. And then coming up next month in just a couple of weeks is the Brews
for Brains.
Cincy
Yes.
Brews for Brains, which is like the Mimosa fundraiser, but just with beer. There we go.
That's right. We're at Braxton and Covington. It's a bit more casual. It's a couple hundred people who come together. And yes, tickets are on sale now, so we invite people to come. It's really a great opportunity. You had mentioned, Jack, that we do infuse a bit of joy within the disease process. And what we find is it's important for people not to be focused solely on the disease, to really make sure we focus on the humanity and the connection, community. And so that's what we do in our fundraisers. It's fun, it's light, it's enjoyable, and it's a great place for people to get plugged in.
Well, because especially given the work you're doing, I mean, it's focused on quality of life and the idea that even if you're talking about patients, like these are still people who are alive and life is still worth living. And even reminding people of that is a tremendous value.
That's exactly right. We do a lot of education with families about meeting people where they are, right? When a person has cognitive decline, it's really important not to argue with them. You have to step into their present reality. And I think that by slowing ourselves down and finding some of the joy, finding some of the humanity and the connection, that allows us to do it. Those are some of the techniques that we get even more specific with families how to do that too.
Let me ask you this in terms of, we're talking about fundraising, and again, the Brews for Brains event is coming up September 24th. In terms of fundraising and the challenges of it, we have a lot of nonprofits that have come on this show and talk about the various challenges and opportunities when it comes to raising money. What a fantastic city this is with the corporate support that's available out there. In your experience with this organization, do you find it difficult in any way from a fundraising perspective, the idea that you're doing programs that are about quality of life and maybe not about actively funding scientific research for a cure? Is that a tougher sell for people in any way?
You know, I think sometimes it's tricky for people to understand the value, right? And I think that's what you're getting to. And it's hard to quantify the impact of connection. I will say, though, that a few years ago, the World Health Organization put out research that social isolation has as much of a health detriment to a person as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Oh, wow.
So there is data to really look at the impact of community and connection. That said, when it comes to fundraising, I think really the story we get to tell again is this is bigger than a health issue, and look at the impact on business, look at the impact on community, and then also really lean into what's in it for me? You know, I think that's always important when we talk to donors and businesses, and that's a conversation that we continue to evolve and look at, and I appreciate when people are interested and willing to have that with us.
Well, you know, in terms of the programming that you've got, you know, if there is maybe a lack of quantitative data to show people, you know, a given ROI on what you're doing specifically, you've got programs like this Brains in Bloom that we mentioned that I think is really brilliant. The idea that you've got, it's once a month, and you've got florists that are coming in to help. There's a picture of it right there, helping patients make their own floral arrangements. It's going to help with motor skills. You're making something pretty. There's creativity involved. I think this is one of the nicest things I've ever seen.
It's really cool. And that picture is Dan Druffel, and Druffel Gardens is our major partner in this. And it's a really cool opportunity. You know, the other thing is at these programs like Brains and Blooms or Creative Connections, we do have a partnership with medical students. And so they come and do internships. We just had a student do a research paper. So we are looking at how do we make sure we have all of the data to support what we're up to, because while this is beautiful and really, you know, just looking at this, I think you can get a sense of the goodness that exists here. We also want to make sure that we give the analytical perspective of what's happening as well.
Yeah, no, obviously you got to be able to sell that to people, and I think showing pictures like that and videos like the gals with the guitars getting everybody to sing, like there's no denying that that is having an impact on folks. And I think the idea that someone who's suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia, how easy it is just to cast folks off to the side, even if maybe the work is specifically about finding a cure, they're still about treating the human in the moment. And I think that's such wonderful work that you guys are doing.
Thank you. Thank you. We're proud to do it. Feels like a privilege and a responsibility. The demand is growing. You know, as soon as we create programs, we're at capacity. Right now, we serve over 240 people a week. That grew since you know, several months ago. And so what we know is that we get to continue to show up. And I'm proud of our board. They really do this in a way of integrity, right? We could grow really fast and ferociously, and yet we want to make sure that the quality of what we provide is there. And so that's what we're up to. And that's why having this conversation and making sure people know about Giving Voice Foundation means a lot to us. Again, I want people to tap into us, and we're ready to show up and support. And then I want people to come alongside us and partner with us.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting what you just said about not wanting to grow too quickly, because I mean, certainly managed growth is something that nonprofits deal with. It's something that regular for-profit businesses deal with, because if you grow too fast, too quickly, too big, you'll have an effect on your product 9 times out of 10. And for what you're doing specifically, helping with quality of life issues, if you've got people who were involved in your program and had such a great effect on them, and then they tell others to get involved, and if you grow too quickly, then the idea that there's people that have like a Yelp review of, boy, this used to be great, but it's not great now, that could not be more the opposite of what it is you're looking for.
Right, that's exactly right. So, and that's why, you know, I know a number of people were excited for us to be on the show today, and that's where we become storytellers, right, where we can share with others what Giving Voice Foundation is up to. And I think our website's a really great place to go and hear the stories. We're going to be unveiling something this weekend on August 15th. It's called Our Voices, Our Stories, and invite others to be involved. Just a really easy way to plug into what we're up to.
Because this thing connects to so many people, and it's touched so many lives and affected so many. You know, you're talking about 200 people a week that you guys are helping. The support for the caregivers is tremendous too. The website, givingvoicefdn.org. If you're at all touched by what Krista here is talking about, there's numerous options to have volunteer work, to make a donation, to be a part of the program that's going on, or to seek out the help that you guys are providing. I think it's really wonderful, and I hope that everybody who's affected by this finds out about this website. It's a really good group.
Thank you.
We are going to take a break. We have more Working Lunch when we get back. Krista Powers, the Executive Director of the Giving Voice Foundation, going to find out about her specific professional journey and your decades of work in this field already. More on that coming up when we get back. You're watching the Working Lunch on The Crown.
We take care of you We've been growing since 1946. As your Kubota dealer, our focus is to help you grow today and into the future. Stop by one of our locations today, visit with our folks, and see our entire lineup of Kubota products.
Our business is helping you grow. Bankside Tractor.
Okay, who are you?
Well, you have a First State Bank checking account, so you'll be getting cash back whenever you use it.
Oh,
Open a checking account at First State Bank for cash back. First State Bank, built on belief.
how did you get in here?
Every morning, Cincinnati wakes up and gets to work. Companies are built, deals are made, restaurants open, ideas become careers, and every day the people behind it all sit down at the working lunch. Founders, CEOs, entrepreneurs, community leaders, the people building Cincinnati. The Working Lunch with Jack Crumley, weekdays, noon to 1, only on The Crown.
On the radio here in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has always felt like home.
Right here on the Crown Network.
Out and about in Cincinnati, bringing you the stories that you need to hear in the Queen City.
Welcome back to The Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley, joined by Krista Powers, who is the Executive Director of the Giving Voice Foundation, a nonprofit that helps work with people suffering from Alzheimer's and dementia and their caregivers and making sure that they experience some improvement in quality of life through programming, through support. There's a million different things that you guys do to help people out. I think it's really wonderful work. I did a little LinkedIn snooping on you and a little aware of your resume and your history. You've got a really long history of working in nonprofits in general. I'm curious how that started for you and where it came from. You went to Xavier, right?
I did, yes. So a Jesuit education. I actually did Jesuit Volunteer Corps after college. So it was a year of service. But really, I would attribute my my drive to my parents and the upbringing I had of just giving back and contributing. And so I knew from an early age I was going to be a social worker. What I didn't know is that I'd be in more of the meso and macro practice, not so much the clinical. So that's the path I've taken with fundraising and leadership.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because I think a lot of people, maybe the natural assumption when you're talking about social work as a career is that sort of one-on-one, helping out individual families, caseworker type stuff.
Yes, exactly. Which I've done a bit of, right, and kind of dabbled back and forth into that just to make sure I have a finger on the pulse. And in my drive, I really love creating and building things, and I like having fun and, inviting people into the whole process of how do we do the next right and best thing in service. So, yeah, that's where my drive has been.
So you sort of knew it going into school. What was your major at Xavier?
It was social work as undergrad, and I did a graduate degree as well, which was focused in geriatrics. So I did a Hartford Fellowship, which is geriatric focus at the University of Michigan, and then quickly found my way into fundraising and more of the nonprofit world.
Yeah, I know. I believe I saw some work with the United Way on your resume. And then there was an organization that you were with for a while called something with Catholics. It was...
Yeah, so it was the Matthew Kelly Foundation, which has now become Dynamic Catholic Institute.
Catholics,
yeah,
what is Dynamic Catholics?
Well, so the whole message started with becoming the best version of yourself, which is a secular message. And then as it grew into Dynamic Catholic, it was really looking at rediscovering Catholicism and the beauty of the faith, and making sure people are invited into the truth and goodness there. I really resonate with the idea of become the best version of yourself. I think that that's accessible to everyone.
Yeah, for sure, and certainly trying to help out people, again, dealing with Alzheimer's and dementia, and trying to maximize their quality of life as they go through this. I think that's part and parcel with what you're doing.
Well, and it's a moving target, right? Like best version of yourself is something that in every chapter and phase of life becomes something different and new. So especially in a process of a disease, it's, well, what's my best version now?
You had a number of years of work, I believe, with the Alzheimer's Association and then also Madonna Manor. I would imagine that a lot of that work plays into the way that you are leading Giving Voice Foundation now.
It does. I have worked with some of the best people and best leaders that I've learned from. It was interesting. My dream job at that time of life was the Alzheimer's Association. Our team at that point built the $1 Million Walk, and I'm so proud of being part of that. And then I found my way to Madonna Manor so that I could, again, kind of do that touch point for myself of being in more of the direct care and spiritual direction, leadership, and just really being in connection with families who were in need. So
is that about like keeping sort of an ear to the ground and
yes.
keeping your foot in the world and not getting too into the maybe office space and planning?
Absolutely. It's kind of that like toggle back and forth, right? Come in, come out, come in, come out, and just understand, well, as I'm leading, how am I leading? What's going on? What's relevant to people now?
Yeah, you're making me think. We had Moira Weir of the United Way on and talking about how she will still go and visit with folks and try to maintain those really specific personal connections, and seeing what the work is done on a very micro level is still really important to her. Sounds like the same thing for you.
Absolutely, yes.
It was during your time at the Alzheimer's Association. Sorry, this is like a This Is Your Life kind of moment.
Resume.
You were named part of the Business Courier's 40 Under 40. Congratulations on that. Is that a weird honor to get?
It is weird in the moment. It's also weird to think that was like a decade ago.
No, we don't need. We're not.
okay, all right.
We can keep this pretty undated.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, it is. It's humbling, right? And it's surprising to realize, people are noticing and willing to honor some of the accomplishments along the way. I will say that it's never one person, right? It's a whole village that moves us into our roles and accomplishments.
How do you get on the radar for that sort of thing?
Your community. So I had a whole community that said, hey, let's nominate Krista. And they got together and they got busy. And they asked me, hey, we need some information from you. And we also are willing to make this, to bubble you up and bring you forward as a person who's up to good stuff.
As we work through this sort of little resume walk down memory lane, you did a lot of work with the Cincinnati Zoo also, specifically during COVID, during lockdown times, and you played a role in getting the zoo back open. How did any of that come to be?
You know what? I don't know. I don't know. The truth is I went to the zoo because of a colleague who we worked together at the Alzheimer's Association. So I found my way there for a bit of joy, right? Like when you're in the world of healthcare, it can be heavy. It can be a lot to manage on a day-to-day basis. And so I knew that I needed to take a beat and step out of that space. So I found my way to the zoo, the development team, and just as you would imagine, that team is phenomenal. Yeah. And then COVID happened, and I was invited to be one of two leads and a whole committee who said, okay, how are we going to reimagine what this space looks like when we come back from COVID? So it was a lot of long hours, a lot of deep work. The Dean Violetta is there. He's one of the architects, and he is just a brilliant mind and a really connected human. So I learned a lot from him in the process as well. But really, I think it comes down to people being willing to put in time and get innovative with your thought process, because nobody knew what we were doing at that point, right? We all were making things up at that moment.
And specifically talking about quality of life during that time, you're talking about a year where everybody was way more stressed out, whether you're talking about loss of work, feeling stuck in the home, being afraid of being near people. That is such a huge effect on quality of life, which obviously plays a big role in what you guys are doing now.
That's exactly right. And so I look at the organizations throughout our community, and you mentioned earlier, Cincinnati is just ripe. We're a generous community, and we have a lot of opportunities for people to tap into. So I'm always happy for people to learn and tap into new things, whether it's the zoo, right, who they really do a good job of accommodating different abilities and interests, or it's Giving Voice Foundation or other organizations as well.
I want to ask you about one other organization that you were a co-founder of. It's an outfit called Human.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Honestly, it was something that came up. I had stepped away from the zoo and became a coach, a life coach, and then a business coach. I had some partnerships with the Chamber of Commerce for a while. I authored a couple books in that time, and I co-founded Human. It was something that was an experience that lasted probably a year, and then I went through a health diagnosis, my own breast cancer, and so, some things just came to a natural end. And I do think, though, it was really this idea that continues to thread throughout what I do, what I've learned through all my experiences. Safety, belonging, and connection are really a human experience and desire, something that we're all looking for, whether we're living with Alzheimer's disease or we're, graduating from college or we're raising kids. That safety, belonging, and connection are vitally important. And that's really what I want to continue to bring to every space that I'm in.
Well, that's what I was leading into, the idea of this work in all these different nonprofits that you've done, the Alzheimer's Association, especially, certainly Madonna Manor, working with the zoo. How all that has fueled and built into the way that you are acting as executive director now of this foundation, the ways that you're leading it now that you maybe wouldn't have had you not been involved in those other organizations.
Yeah, what I find is I call on people often. I call on the folks that I've worked with along the way in my journey and ask questions. I find a lot of strength in others who have found ways through, gnarly situations, whether it was COVID and reinventing ourselves or different leadership. And so my leadership with Giving Voice Foundation is one that I think is collective. And it really does speak to that component of community where, yes, I am charged with the day-to-day growth and operation of this organization. Very different from when I served on the board. And that oversight.
Jump. Going from board to executive director is a huge leap.
It is, and I was so ready and passionate about doing it. And now in the position, I'm reminded routinely, wow, this is a lot of responsibility. When I serve on board, I'm delighted to be an ambassador and to have that leadership role, though it is a big bite. So, and I'm honored to do it. And like I said, it's about community all coming together and moving the needle.
Yeah, I think that's really great. And I think the best leaders are the ones that listen and the ones who actively seek out the opinions of others before a decision gets made and being willing to listen and change as the process moves on.
Yes, and remaining relevant is something I also am really proud of. The Giving Voice board, they're nimble, right? And so that makes it easier for me as in the leadership role that I have in our team to show up and to be sure that we're communicating, hey, this is what we're experiencing, boots on the ground. And so we're do we get to go as an organization as well.
Tell me a little bit about this, the book, the publishing that you've done with the poetry. Is that I wasn't sure how much of that was a professional pursuit or a artistic outlet or a hobby or a little bit of all of that.
I think it's been a little bit of all of it. I now serve on the board of Vitality Cincinnati. They are my publisher and a great organization to be aware of for the community. I first authored a book called Midlife Calm, Alternative to Midlife Crisis, and really the root of that is about authenticity, right? And so it's not just for people in their middle age, it's really about finding our truth and being who we are authentically.
How much do you find in the work that's being done with Giving Voice Foundation and helping people make connections and express creativity and even maybe fine motor skills that is also extremely useful to, let's say, regular everyday living and being able to take cues? Oh, maybe if I pattern my life or try to incorporate this a little bit more, I'll see some growth and benefit myself.
Oh my gosh, if we use the skills that we use with individuals living with a form of dementia with one another on a daily basis, we would be a better society. So I think about skills of communication. I think about the listening that you mentioned. I think about improv being a skill set that we can use to be present with one another and make sure that we're not just coming with our own agenda and driving something without being aware of the other person and the presence that gets to co-create the moment. So I think it's everything. What we're doing at Giving Voice actually has a ripple effect out into the community.
Yeah, you know, it's not just the annoying theater nerds on campus that are doing the improv. That's useful stuff.
It's useful stuff, people. Yeah.
All the world's a stage.
Yes, I'm here for it.
Tell me a little bit more, too. I want to know about the caregiving option that you guys do specifically, the programming that you do for the caregivers. What's that? That's maybe less about, motor skills and creative expression. Is it more of a therapeutic outlet?
Sure. We do something called purposeful planning, and it's a consult, a 90-minute session with a clinician to really talk through their loved one and to educate them on some different skills and resources and to help them walk away with an action plan for what they need to do in the here and now.
At a time when it feels like you don't know which way is up.
That's exactly right. What we hear is once a person's diagnosed, they spend maybe 20 minutes with their physician and then they go out into the world of Google, and that is overwhelming and it's a lot to consume all at once. So we're there to walk that with them and to really help them sort through what is most important and priority.
I think that's a tremendous asset and thing that you are doing to help people out. And again, this is all no cost.
That's correct.
Free of charge. Giving Voice Foundation. Big fundraiser coming up next month, September 24th. Cincy Brews for Brains.
You got it.
That's at Braxton.
That's right. Yes, Covington. It's a Thursday evening, so it's very fun, casual sort of environment. You get to come. It's a 6:30 to 9. We'll have a caricature artist. We'll have beers. We'll have just some good music, good times. So I invite people to buy their ticket.
Yeah, and there's a song lyric about some drink to remember and some drink to forget.
Oh,
and
that's true.
But it all fits in. And it's for a really wonderful cause. GivingVoiceFDN.org is the website. Krista, thanks very much. Doing some really tremendous work with people.
Thank you, Jack.
We're going to take a break. We've got more Working Lunch on the other side. Coming back. Stick around. You're watching The Crown.
The Crown has you covered. Start your day with First Word, Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the Working Lunch, Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, and the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. First Word for your morning sports, Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, the Working Lunch for business that hits home, and Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
On the radio here in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati has always felt like home.
Right here on the Crown Network.
Out and about in Cincinnati, bringing you the stories that you need to hear in the Queen City.
Cincinnati sports fans are the best. Loyal, passionate, second to none. This city lives and breathes sports, and now it finally has a morning show to match. I'm James Rapine, and this is First Word, the only morning sports show in Cincinnati and the place where every day starts. We break down the biggest moments and set the agenda for the city. Marissa Contepelli and Jacob Tissett join me to bring the insight and energy you need to start your day. The conversation starts with First Word. First Word, weekdays 7 to 11, part of the Crown Network.
Our beliefs matter. They're reflected in our words and actions. At First State Bank, we believe in treating people well, and have since 1884. Listening, caring, looking out for each other. It's what people deserve. It's what a real local bank does. While lots of things have changed over the years, our belief in you hasn't. First State Bank, built on belief.
Welcome back to the Working Lunch, wrapping things up here on a Thursday. Want to put a couple other things on your radar that I have noticed that I think might be a little bit fun. This first bit is maybe a little bit specific, and it's for at least one friend of mine I know who is particularly into this brand of beer, this flavor of beer at the very least. Just in time for fall, Garage Beer has out a Garage Apple flavored beer that is out today. There it is. That's some really nice design on the packaging and the can, by the way. That contrast of the red and the black and the colors is very cool. That is out as of today. That is in all Braxton tap rooms and also available in 12 packs at stores. Bengals preseason game tonight as the Bengals are playing the Lions. That's out today because of that, and because having football in August is a great idea. Bigger decisions being made than what I'm in charge of. Garage Beer became its own company in 2023. Then, of course, it was bought by the Kelsey brothers, but there's still a lot of overlap between Garage Beer and Braxton. And because those beers are available at Braxton Brewery locations, every Garage Beer flavor, so you got the regular, you got the lime, you got this new apple, they are all $1 off during Bengals games if you order it at a Braxton Brewing location. That's a cool local beer and a new flavor there. Always like new stuff, and I'm a sucker for new flavors. Speaking of new, do have one other thing to pass your way. The Bagel Group. This is a new bagel place that will open in Northside tomorrow. There has been a ton of anticipation in that neighborhood for this place. They've been trying to open since July. They've got a post on their Instagram about how they've been trying to do this for a bit. There you can see a montage video of some of the work that they've been doing. This is the Bagel Group, a new spot, again, opening tomorrow right on Hamilton Avenue near Chase. That is right along the main drag in the Northside neighborhood. Co-owners Alex Bauman, Zachary Capretta, and Theodore Winninger putting this place together. Hand-rolled bagels, fresh every day. Those are fun words to say in that order, along with steamed sandwiches and deli meats. I named the three owners there, but this is also a worker-owned establishment, so that means employees at the Bagel Group get a cut of the profits. They have a say in operation. The Bagel Group going to be open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. Those are great hours for a bagel place. It's a little bit of a stop in and pick up and leave. There is a little bit of room inside for seating, is my understanding of it. But again, new place, employee owned, the Bagel Group, opening in Northside. bright and early tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. I would like to thank Krista Powers, my guest today, the executive director of the Giving Voice Foundation. That is an organization that is doing tremendous work helping people who are suffering with Alzheimer's and dementia, making them feel thoughtful and connected and cared about, also offering support to caregivers with all the stress that they're under. It's a really great organization. Again, their Cincy Brews for Brains fundraiser is coming up September 24th. That's at Braxton. You can check them out, find out about all their programming. Again, givingvoicefdn.org is their website. Really impressed by what that nonprofit is doing here in the Cincinnati area. 200 people every week that they're helping to feel connection with. That's it for our show today. Tune back in tomorrow morning. First Word with James Rapine going to be on at 7 a.m. Cincinnati's only morning sports show, bringing you all sorts of topics and takes. I know that they had Travis Steele on today. More on that to come. We are going to go. We got to go. Be back tomorrow. Big Friday show here on The Working Lunch. Thanks for watching.